Hello, everyone. Welcome to the YakShaver sprint review and retro for sprint 100. In this sprint, we completed a pretty big spike, and let's go into the details. So there's two sprint goals that we had for the current sprint were the spike to check how we can move to identity server with our authentication. And we did complete that and created a whole bunch of PBIs that we need to go and work through, which is basically the second sprint goal here as well, to create those migration PBIs. Do we have any questions on that? Cool, I move on. Just double checking that we have all the people here listed: Tom, Baba, Willow, Rick, Callum, Josh. I think that's all. Yeah. In the timesheets, we have me working full-time on YakShaver, Steven part-time pretty much, Willow and Baba as well. And Steven is currently on holidays for at least the next 2 weeks. Let's look at the PBIs that we completed in this sprint. I think this one is worth calling out. We have a Chrome extension that we haven't touched for a while, and the initial idea was to basically can it, because it's pretty much replaced by the MCP app, but Adam would like to keep the Chrome extension. So we had a brief discussion on that. I'm just going to open the PBI. And our idea is to kind of repurpose the Chrome extension as a companion app to the desktop MCP app. So it will not be a standalone extension which has all the same functionality as YakShaver does. Instead, it will be, as I said, this companion app. When you click on it, it will communicate with the desktop app. So it will require the desktop app to be installed. And you can then record your YakShave. And the cool thing is, because it's a browser extension, we will have access to like the console logs, the network tab, if you, for example, report an issue on our website. And this is then extra metadata that we can use for the PBI. Any comments or questions on that direction? Cool. Let's continue with the rest of the PBIs. So we had some style inconsistencies on the portal that we fixed up. We assigned it to Copilot, and Willow, just give us like a quick summary on the experience on that.
Yeah, so for this one, Copilot is this PBI is just a simple UI change, but the Copilot tend to make some unnecessary changes about it. So I need to prompt it again to remove that. So maybe I can have a more clear instruction when I start working on this next time.
Cool. Thank you, Willow. This is one of the sprint goals that we have. So that's our spike to move to identity server and or better auth, and basically figure out which direction we want to go. Rick, can you give us like a quick update on that?
All right. So we have evaluated both options, better auth and identity server. We've also evaluated the efforts needs for both, and we need to make the final decision on which one we want to go. So that's the current status. But I think the team members are now on the same page what we need to do and how to do it.
Very good. Thank you, Rick. Any questions on that, Callum or Josh? Right. Thank you for that. We also had a issue with the legacy Teams app where videos that were over 5 minutes kind of got stuck and wouldn't progress. Willow, can you give us a quick update on this?
Yeah, so now we updated. So for we add a check for the video size. So if a video is over large, we will have a message to tell user that your video is too large. Please record it shorter or like reduce the video quality to do that.
Yeah. So here's the Teams message that it will send you. Your video file is too large. Maximum 500 megabytes. Please record a shorter video, reduce video quality.
So was that limitation always there, and what was happening previously before we added that message?
Before we added that message, it really depended on the video. If you had a Mac and you would basically record your whole screen, the video would easily hit 1 gigabyte on full resolution, and that would either take forever or sometimes just crash the function due to memory and basically get lost.
Right.
I'm seeing one thing that's weird there. It says that the YakShaver staging started saving at 11:57 and it finished. It only gave the warning roughly 25 minutes later. I think it's I don't know, if I was doing a YakShave, and I YakShave something for 4 minutes, let's say, and only 25 minutes later I was told, hey, gotta redo it. I would be not wanting to use it again for issues like that.
Yes, I agree. I reckon this is a separate message, not related to this. So that was a previous video, and that's why it's a little bit misleading, because even
Are you certain, or is that an estimate? Is that a guess?
It's a best guess from my end.
Well, it certainly
think
seems
it's
like it
separate.
shouldn't take 25 minutes, because all we're doing is checking the size of the file, which we should have immediately as soon as we have the file, right?
Correct.
Yeah.
So hopefully
And we
it's
update
pretty fast.
And we update the message based on the original one. So I think this is two separate videos.
Yeah.
Oh, so the
Okay.
previous one hasn't updated, and then the second one comes in and updates to that message. Is that what you're saying?
So with YakShaver, when we send a message as part of the same conversation, which is the initial video, we replace the card, right? So it's not you have the first card, then the next card, the next. We replace the card as part of the conversation.
I think when we replace it, we should keep at least some of the context, like the video and then the length. You know, it should say something like video 4 minute 8 second or whatever that one was is too large, just so you know which video exactly was too large, because otherwise you can't really tell.
Yeah, I agree. That's a good point. Even the user might think, oh, but my video was only like 2 minutes or something. Why is it so large? Which is then depending on, of course, the resolution and quality of the video. So yeah, it makes sense to have this information in here.
Yeah.
I'm just adding a quick comment.
We could say what the actual size was as well. You know, it's 2 gigabytes, but the maximum is 500.
Yeah.
Yeah, because I guess the confusion that Josh had, a user could have as well. Like they might think that was a separate reply to a previous one if they were doing 2 at the same time, for example.
Yes, I agree. Baba, can you make a note on that, and then we can create a follow-up PBI on this one?
Yeah, sure.
Thank you. That was this one. The next one were minor fixes. The larger one is here, the authentication migration PBI breakdown. So that was done as well, and we created some additional PBIs that we need to go through. Then another big one was the application health dips that we had. There's a few changes that we made to that to improve visibility. First, on our tenant app, we display now on each tenant if they're healthy or not, which gives you a quick overview because the health API only returns us the tenant IDs. So it's a little bit difficult to figure out which one is which and what database they're currently using. And we added additional logs for the availability checks. So this way we can easily see and follow up what went wrong and with which tenant. So that's something that we need to keep an eye on now in the next few weeks when some of the subscription are expiring again. Because at the moment, all the subscriptions have been renewed and everything is healthy at this stage. Any questions on this one?
All good.
Cool. The next two PBIs, they were also fairly easy. There were some changes on the, one of them was on the portal. We assigned it to Copilot and yeah, it did some refactoring. It was pretty straightforward. There was no additional reprompt that I needed to do, so that was pretty good, and it did some refactoring. There was one small issue. I think it didn't have access to delete existing code because one of the refactoring parts was that Copilot needed to move some code files into a parent folder. It failed, so it basically duplicated it and couldn't delete the duplicate. So I had to manually go in and delete those. Apart from that, yeah, everything was working pretty fine. The next one, Baba, give us like a quick update and summary on that, which was the final results have changed on the MCP app.
Yeah, on YakShaver desktop app, the final result was displaying not properly, not rendered properly because one of our prompts wasn't included in workflow step. So now I fixed that issue, and that task execution prompt is included to properly render final result. And I tested PBI, and it works as expected.
Okay, cool. Thank you, Baba, for this update. That was pretty much all what was done. There were a few that are still in review. I think this one is worth to call out as well. Griffin uses a Mac with an Intel chip, so it's a bit of an older model, and YakShaver Desktop wasn't running on that. So we created a new build to cater for that, but Griffin hasn't had the chance yet to test it. So that's why it's still in review. And that's pretty much it for the sprint board. Do we have any questions?
No, that looks good.
I think one other thing is worth calling out, which is the Jira integration and done video. Specifically, Adam requested that. Stephen had a look, but he got stuck with some organization authorization access before he went basically on holidays. And that's something we will pick up in the next sprint and try to get it working so that we have a done video for that on how to use the...
Who will be picking it up?
We don't know yet. It's open in the backlog.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Hopefully it's not too hard because I had the Jira MCP working on the brainstorming day, so
yeah,
should just be a bit of configuration.
Yeah. Then let's look at the code coverage. It went up by 0.3%. The code coverage is mainly the portal. We only had one deployment on the portal. and we had 8 production releases for the desktop app. Looking at the application health, we can see there's the slight dip on the availability. This is primarily due to some of the tenant OneDrive subscriptions. They haven't renewed properly, and it returned basically a unhealthy status. And that is as well seen here in this error spike on 500s, which are related. I manually ran the function afterwards to renew those unhealthy subscription, which worked fine, and there were no further problems. We have a large amount of 400 errors, which are mainly just bots and other scripts which scan the websites for like .env files or exposed config files, which we don't have, and that's why they create 4 errors, and that's basically seen here. Any questions on the health overview? Right. All right. I hand it over to Willow to discuss the next sections.
Okay, so for monthly usage, our top is Louis. He has created 25 shapes in the last 30 days, and followed by Michael Q. He has created 23, and then the co-staff, who is outside our YakShaver team. So he has created 40 shapes, but he didn't create as much as last 30 days, like the 30 days previously. Okay, and we can scroll down to our product map. So for the YakShaver agent, because we reached the limit, is we can only create 100 sub issues, so it's still 91%. And for the YakShaver desktop app, we have 4% increasement and 8% increasement for the portal UI UX improvements. Yeah, and we can scroll down to the backlog stats. So for the YakShaver, we have 45 new PPIs in the last 30 days, and 78% of them are labeled with YakShaver, and we have completed 25. And for the YakShaver desktop app, we have created 36 new PPIs. 61% of them are labeled with YakShaver, and we have completed 22. Is there any questions about all these sections?
Not
Okay,
really.
cool.
Still slightly concerning that the I guess net change in PBIs is going up. I guess that's because we had reduced capacity this sprint, although even when we had more capacity, it was also going up. Is this because more people are doing canary testing and just reporting more problems? I don't know, but it would be a good idea to maybe figure out why that is still happening. And then the other thing I wanted to check was that Epic is currently maxed out at 100 issues, and we had to split it off into another one. I think it's probably a good idea to get some sort of agent or something, because it's probably too time consuming to go through it manually, but get some sort of agent to maybe try and split that up into some smaller epics, so it's a bit more manageable. Hopefully we'll have an opportunity to do that before next sprint review.
Mm-hmm.
Shouldn't take too long, I would think. Carry on.
Yeah. So Baba, I hand the research and development to you and the AI tools.
Okay, thank you. So about R&D, we loaded investigation for integrating better OS to our front end and back end, and for also desktop app. And regarding the AI tools, Rick switched to from Opus 4.6 to GPT 5.4. And about the tenant stats for last sprint, we have a total number of tenants 56, and total number of tenants that completed setup is 2. And for this week, there was 10 shaves, and total number of shaves for MCP is 0.
All right, and contacted tenants also 0 this week.
Yeah.
Can we make an effort to reach out to our tenants next week and to see how they're going? Ask them if they've got any issues using YakShaver, etc. I think previously Lewis was sort of managing that, but he's swap team, so he's not here. I guess that's why we didn't do it this week. But is someone able to step up and take responsibility for doing that in the coming week for us?
Yes.
Tom, are you able to do that?
Yes, I definitely can follow up on that.
Beautiful. Thank you.
No worries. All right. The next are the AI stats for Claude, but we will jump on that after we finish the rest of the sprint review and planning. Let's look at the AI stats. I hand that quickly to Callum.
Yeah, absolutely. So Tom was speaking for the majority of the meeting. Willow was number 2. I think that's the first time you've been at number 2, Willow. So well done for that. Rick, number 3, Bubba, number 4, and me at a shameful last place, although I note that I did join right at the end. So that's why. Then the main action point, or the main issue completed, was the authentication migration spike. So we've done the spike, we've created PBIs, but obviously the main work is still to do. And that is accurate.
Yeah, thank you, Callum. Let's quickly discuss the sprint retro. What went well? Callum said the sprint goals were achieved. Baba said we have PBIs regarding auth integration now after we completed the spike. I said that assigning PBIs to Copilot and then just checking the PR in most cases is a pretty good experience, and you don't need to re-prompt it too many times. Willow said we used Copilot to complete 3 PBIs this sprint, which is pretty cool. Then
I'd like to, sorry, Tom, just look at with the thing about assigning PBIs to Copilot. An experience I've had on this week with the YakShaver team actually is the install button that Lewis put in the YakShaver website.
Yeah.
I got sent the PR request maybe 10 days ago now, and we went I don't know what he used. I believe it was called code, but we went through 6 or 7 rounds of PR reviewing because the code quality was quite horrible the first iteration. And then we kept picking up things slowly, like throughout each PR review, to the point where we were doing like a literal sit. We sat with each other, and I was doing it, showing him what was obviously wasn't his fault. He was prompting. But I think there's going to be some wariness in completely delegating to AI.
Yeah, I guess, do you know, like, one important thing is the model that you're using, right? So if you use
I think he was using
4.6
Opus.
Okay, yeah. And the other thing, what I noticed is specifically for PR reviews, if you assign Copilot more than once, it's probably declining returns because Copilot will try to pick things up that make no sense because it feels like it has to pick something up on a round 2 or round 3.
Yeah, no, it was. I went.
It sounds
through,
like it's not picking
review.
up the actual problems that exist, though, right, Josh?
No, it was. I'm sorry. I was doing a manual review of AI code.
Right, and it wasn't. It was missing stuff.
The functionality of the feature worked correctly. It was more so the quality of the quality of the code.
Yeah,
which was
right.
bad.
Yeah, another big factor is the existing code base, because what Copilot will do is look at the existing code and try to mimic that. So if you have, I guess, poor code quality, it will kind of like stay in that same area unless you specifically say to improve, follow some patterns, best practices and stuff, and then we'll try to do some refactor. But yeah, so we had similar experiences with that. If you just
were you able to make any changes to the agents.md file or anything like that to get a better result?
I don't know.
Are you asking us, YakShaver, or Josh?
I was asking Josh in this specific case, but if anyone else has a comment, feel free to weigh in.
This was on the YakShaver or the SSW products website repository.
Right.
I don't know if there is a agents.md file.
I was
just pulled in to
I'd be
review it.
curious to see if we could, like, anytime that I see AI making mistakes like that, I would first try to fix it by adding an agents.md file and then seeing if that fixes it. Because obviously, if you can fix it once, it'll hopefully fix it next time as well. And obviously keep in mind that you want to maybe scope it to the directory that is relevant. Because one of the mistakes you can make with the agents.md is trying to put everything in one global one. But maybe if you just put an agents.md in the YakShaver website directory or some other directory that makes sense with some specific instructions. I don't know what exactly did wrong, but yeah, potentially a couple of brief dot points to help it for next time would be a good idea. And I think it's cool to try and update that at sort of as it does a better job.
Yeah.
Do you think that's something we'd be able to pull in for next sprint to add a agents.md file to that repo, Tom? Probably wouldn't be very long.
I'm pretty sure we have that on YakShaver. On the products page, I'm not sure who's like the main maintainer on the products page, but I can definitely follow that up as well and have a look. Baba, can you put a note down quickly?
Sorry? The issue. Now that Caleb has gone part-time, there is not really a maintaining team.
Yeah.
I would suggest whoever was involved in that specific issue that you had, Josh, it was you and Lewis or whoever, you guys just put your heads together, figure out what it did wrong, and just spend 5 minutes adding an agents.md file to the right place. And I think that should just become part of the regular workflow. So if you see an agent that does a bad job at any point, just try and leave the agents files in a better state than you found, and you leave existent, in which case. But yeah, just keep in mind we don't want a massive global thing with all the instructions. You want to try and scope it to the relevant directory.
Yeah, okay. I can look at that with them.
Cool. That completes our review on retro for sprint 100, and let's move on to the sprint planning. So our next sprint goal for that sprint 101 is to make the Entra permissions optional on the portal wizard. Just double checking the attendees: Rick, Tom, Baba, Callum, Willow, and Josh. Okay, so next sprint we have reduced capacity because Steven went on holidays for 2 weeks. Lucky for him. So the next sprint is fairly short in terms of PBIs. Also, Baba is only available for 1 day. So the first PBI is to make Entra permission optional. That's our sprint goal, as said before. Then we also have this spike break to break down the Entra permissions. I let AI analyze our code base. Before the Entra permissions, they were required on the portal to basically use the Teams app, give us access to the OneDrive subscriptions for the user. And now with the MCP app and trying to add additional providers like Google login and maybe GitHub login, etc., we do not want to have these restrictions on the Entra ID permissions. And that will result in a larger refactor that we need to do on the backend code to allow for that. So there's lots of work to be done there. And that will be most likely an ongoing process, because once we switch it to be optional, we have to do trial and error and see what breaks and fix them as these issues will come up. But the AI gave us already a good starting point on code blocks and files to look at and refactor. Then we have a SSW Tiger done video that Willow will hopefully complete the next sprint. As I said, we will try to get the Jira integration MCP done video done as well, that Stephen worked on. And then we have a not crazy bug, but a bit of an annoying bug where when you have YakShaver open and there's a new update ready, the pop-up keeps popping up and spamming you, which is annoying. So we will try to get that resolved as well. It should only pop up once. If the user then dismisses it, the idea is to not pop up anymore until you restart the app. I will follow up with Griffin to get the desktop app tested on his MacBook and see if that works. Hopefully it does. Then we can close this PBI up as well. And then we have also canary testing for Ben, which hopefully should be a quick one as well. Then we have the, before I move further, do we have any questions on the PBIs for next sprint? Cool. Then I move on with the next steps. We have the Claude summary of the next steps, which is fairly accurate. And it's basically the same what we discussed before. And then we have the Copilot stats. So the main next item, make Entra permission optional on the onboarding wizard, which is exactly what we're planning to do. So that's fairly accurate as well. Cool. Now I will hand it over to Callum again to go through the Claude stats.
Yep. So like Tom said, I think these details we've got here are all pretty accurate and basically what we've just said. Jump over to the timeline for me. So you can see there, I just joined in right at the end. And like the other report, Tom was doing most of the talking. Willow was number 2. Well done, Willow. I go to people and roles. Looks like it's marked down Tom just a little bit for talking too much, but it also commended him for thorough preparation and kept the meeting on track. So well done, Tom. Willow, efficient communicator, which means you weren't rambling too much. That's good. Proactively caught some errors and covered for Stephen's absence. But maybe back down on estimates too much, whatever that means. Baba, exceptional value density, which I think is the same as what I just said about Willow efficiency. So well done. But you're calling too many things an easy fix. So that means you're setting a high expectations from the start. If you make it sound hard and then you do it fast, then it's like under promising, over delivering. Rick, who's making that decision? I'm not sure. Exactly right. And quick mental math. So well done. Not sure what that is about GPT 5.4, but it's good that you're using GPT 5.4, the latest model. Well done. Wasn't listening though, so maybe I don't know. And for me, well, I got a terrible score this week, didn't I? 4 out of 10. That's horrible. I think that is mostly because I joined too late. And I said it is what it is. Because I think that was in response to the authentication stuff taking a bit longer than we thought last week. But that's all right. All right. Anything on the next tab? Insights. So the elephants in the room. Nobody is owning the auth architecture decision. I think basically the team is owning it. We don't have an individual owning it, but it is a big question, and we don't just want to pick a decision and then regret it later. But I guess we need to balance spending time making the right decision with spending too long. But I think we're doing all right for now. And obviously me missing 90% of the sprint review was not good, but unfortunately I am busy on client work at the moment. So I'm doing what I can. I think that's pretty much it on that tab. Is there anything on the trends? Not really. This is basically all the stuff we've already heard about. Yep. All right. That's it for the Claude stats.
Thank you very much, Colin. That concludes basically our sprint review and planning. And we will upload the summary video to our YakShaver channel, which you can visit there. That's it, pretty much. Thank you, everyone. Bye.
Bye.
Bye.